Hello everyone, it's me, Alisa Vardomska, glad to welcome you to my channel. Today I want to talk to you about counter-dependency, what it is and how to get rid of it. So, what is counter-dependency? Counter-dependency is actually the fear of intimacy. It is a type of avoidant behavior where a person seems to run away from relationships but wants to be chased. A counter-dependent person usually looks great, has hobbies, is often successful in their career, has a complete lack of empathy, and charmingly avoids relationships. They avoid relationships for one simple reason: because they fear. For their mental health, their inner world, fear being betrayed, rejected, ridiculed, and whatever else they have internally. Their experiences, meaning they are afraid to open up and trust, so it is easier for them to walk away from a person than to later be tormented by some internal struggles and inner pain. So first we will briefly talk about the signs of counterdependency and then a bit more about how to get rid of it. And the first sign is that you believe if you get close to someone, they will impose their thoughts, feelings, emotions on you, make you think the way they want, meaning it feels like your will is taken away, and that scares you. Next, the second sign is that you are desperately independent and refuse to ask anyone for help. You do not accept it and do not offer it. In other words, you are such an independent person, it is difficult for you to ask for something. You would rather do everything yourself, but of course, you also won't come to someone's aid. Next, the need for closeness is seen as a weakness and vulnerability. There is a belief in the mind that it is some kind of weakness, and thoughts about deep relationships actually evoke fear and anxiety. Fear and even a sense of lingering internal pain from what might happen. Better not to enter into relationships in order to avoid feeling any pain later. And this fear is stronger than the desire to be in a relationship, to feel warmth and closeness with the partner. Next, you are afraid to run away because of your secret desires and fears. You are perhaps afraid that your secret desires and possibly some fears will become discovered to your partner, and then you will be laughed at. You do not accept your inner emotions and experiences within yourself, and you believe that others will act the same way, which you fear greatly, so you isolate yourself from other people. Next. You do everything possible for the world to know about your virtues. In other words, you want to show who you are. You are such an achiever. You accomplish a lot. You are a perfectionist. You look great, but yes, you work a lot, suppressing that inner need for someone to be by your side. During this time, you are working, moving forward, constantly busy with some tasks, and indeed, such people achieve great results, some peaks, but they do not feel happy in their lives and satisfaction. Next, you are constantly in such fear that you are constantly afraid to make a mistake. But even scarier is that others will find out about this mistake, and a person is very afraid of being ridiculed. The fact that a person made a mistake will be seen as doing something wrong. That is, they are afraid to show themselves as weak and fear revealing any shortcomings, afraid that these shortcomings will be laughed at, mocked, or something like that. Next. Anger, weeping, and loss of self-control, such self-flagellation when something goes wrong, as it should have, as one would like. A person can simply fall into rage, that is, a huge amount of emotions when something doesn't work out, when something goes wrong. Often, a counter-dependent person enters into a relationship with a codependent person. The counter-dependent is all proud and, let's say, knows their worth, while the codependent is more of a pursuer. So the counter-dependent is running away and the codependent is chasing, but the relationship still ultimately does not work out. It is indeed unhealthy because each of them is not healed. It is necessary to shift the focus. Now we will talk about how a counter-dependent can start healing in order to build healthy relationships. And the first thing you need to do is face your fear. Understand why you are afraid. Why are you afraid that your emotions will, for example, be mocked? Why are you afraid to admit some of your weaknesses? What will happen? What will occur? What will happen to you if someone finds out about what is in your soul? And if you start trying and understand that there is really nothing to be afraid of, and it is just your inner fears, then these are the first steps to healing. And The first thing you need to do in relationships is to give up manipulation. Something like, I'm leaving you, but so that you chase after me. That is, the expectation that the partner will always consistently and persistently be the one chasing, the one holding on. You certainly cannot resolve certain situations in relationships through manipulation. Such relationships will not last long. In the end, ultimately, one of the two will eventually get tired and simply realize that they do not need this. Inevitably, at some point, they will ultimately realize that they really do not need this. Get rid of manipulations. Truly admit to yourself that you genuinely need closeness, that you indeed need care. You sincerely need to feel the warmth of a person's soul next to you. And the first thing to do is to get rid of manipulations. Do not scare your partner with the idea that you will leave, that you want to leave. Think honestly and admit to yourself what you really want. Do you want to leave now, or do you want to stay, but to be held back? So, if you want to stay, you shouldn't use manipulations. Moving on. Learn to trust another person and learn to rely on them. Learn to ask for help. And if you try, you will understand that it is not so scary when you trust another person, when you ask for help, when you are helped, you feel care. And when you help in return, you feel happiness inside, because when we do something for others, it makes us happier. When we receive care, we feel good. Indeed, our soul feels good. It's like, let's say, how a mother cares for her child in childhood. Similarly, any care warms the soul, so learn to give care and don't be afraid to ask for help in order to receive it in return. Next, learn to accept goodness, warmth, and kindness and to give with compassion. Give it a try. Just give it a try. Nothing terrible will happen to you if you try to be kinder, to give a little more warmth, and you will understand that it is actually not scary and it makes you happier. Moreover, the people around you, especially your partner, undoubtedly become happier. Learn empathy. Understand and feel the experiences of another person. Just try to put yourself in someone else's shoes. Perhaps you have never done this, never tried, but just try to experience the feelings of someone close to you, a loved one. Try to empathize with him. And believe me, this is indeed another step towards your healing. Working through childhood traumas. This is the most important thing. You need to return to your childhood, express suppressed feelings. That is, what troubled you in childhood, which also made you grow into such a reserved and introverted person. You need to return to that state. Try to relive it. Complete the processes that were not finished. That is, why is this happening in your life? Because at some point you experienced some difficult emotions and did not allow yourself to process them. That is, perhaps you needed to cry, perhaps to receive care from someone, to talk, to share your emotional pain. That is, perhaps do what you truly lacked, and that will indeed be the first step to healing. Next, complete your childhood trauma, that is, complete this process that you did not finish. Next, learn to take care of yourself, of your inner child, and nurture it. Connect with your inner child. How to do this? Imagine yourself perhaps at that difficult age when you may have experienced a range of feelings, a turning point in time. In general, remember yourself as a small child when you were very troubled. See him, reach out to this child, tell him how much you love him, hug him, say something nice to him, some words of encouragement. Dress your inner child, take care of him. Show such maternal care, and indeed you will heal yourself. In addition, also allow other people to take care of you. And these will be more steps towards healing your personality. Just a little. Next, learning to endure conflicts. And this is often very difficult for a counter-dependent person, because in conflict situations they behave this way. They just cut all ties, let's say, getting rid of the person. As soon as you are in a conflict, try not to sever the relationship, but try to speak and express your point of view. Try to put yourself in the shoes of the person who may be in pain, struggling, experiencing a moment. Try not to burn bridges, but to maintain the relationship in a conflict situation with the person. But while doing this, speak and try to hear him. And again, not forgetting your feelings, talk about what worries you. That is, seek some compromise. Then believe me, everything is possible for you, and your relationship will reach a completely different level. You will feel like a happy person, meaning you won't have to hide the little child somewhere deep inside, far away, afraid to show yourself to the world, afraid to open your feelings, to show who you are, so as not to be ridiculed, not to be seen as some kind of failure or anything else. That is, whatever fears you have. Do not be afraid to open up to the world. Do not be afraid to open up to people. Do not be afraid to express yourself, and you will receive in return what you give. That's all I have for this video. I was Alice Vardomska with you. I hope for your likes and subscriptions. Write in the comments what you would like to discuss in my new videos. Don't forget to hit the bell, and goodbye everyone.